Right, I'm going to do a video of the build progress for SHAR Kade's custom arcade cabinets. It's going to be slightly different than doing a 24-inch as our flat pack kits, but it's the same general idea. The only thing we'll miss out is the monitor mount, because the monitors we have in stock for the 32-inch have to be manually mounted and then battened to the cabinet itself. What you start off doing is wrap all your centre panels first. I'll make sure all the centre panels are wrapped, and for the top panel, the speaker panel, I add the speakers first. It just saves trying to get into the speaker panel, add the speakers once the unit is put together. So I'll stop the video now and I'll come back to you with the next step. So the next part of the video, we've got all the side panels with the cam locks and the dowels all glued in place. What you need to do next is make sure all your cam locks are in place. They have a little arrow which points out away from the board. With the 32-inch unit, like I says, we mount the monitor with battens. But on the 24-inch, you have three sets of holes. It's usually the center holes for the monitor kits that we recommend. So the model of monitors we recommend you mount it in the center holes for the monitor panel. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some of these panels and start mounting them onto the dowels and cams and glue them all in place. I recommend you start just doing the bottom panels and then the monitor panel, and then do the speaker panel. Do the under marquee panel, lock that in place, and then do the speaker panel. You may have to use a angled ratchet just to get in there and lock up the cam lock screw. So I'll stop the video again and I'll come back with the next step. Right, so the panels are mounted. Like I say, you would have your center panel in there also. So what we'll do is we'll get the side on, get that knocked down into place, get them glued into place and locked into place, and then I'll be back with the next part. Right, next step, we will add the T-moulding to the front of the unit where the amp goes. We're just marking up the amp with some angle brackets also. So what we'll do is we'll flatten some angle brackets, mark it up on the amp, drill through the amp with a threading bit so you can screw some screws in there, and then mount the amp securely to the whole machine. You've got a perfect gap between the front board to the bottom board, so the amp sits nicely, and then you've got a gap at the front for airflow, as well as a little bit of access to get in underneath the control panel if needs be. So then, like I say, we've got some T-moulding there. We've cut the back of the T-moulding off, and we've got some double-sided sticky on there, and then we're going to mount it in there and I'll be back. Right, the amp is mounted as well as the T-moulding. We have the angle brackets, like I say, flattened and then mounted to the main board, and then we'll have two angle brackets holding the amp securely in place. The next thing I will do is add the battens, and we'll glue them in place, hammer and knock them into place for the back panel and the control panel, and then I'll get back to you with that. Also we'll be doing the LEDs as well and the wiring for the speakers. So I'll come back with an update on that step, and then I'll go in and start mounting all the PC parts. Okay, the next step would be to add the ground loop isolator that would stop any interference to the amp with the LEDs. And then I'm doing a PC build. It depends on what your cabinet is you're making, if it's a PC build or a Pi build. But with the PC builds, I mount the power supply with some angle brackets, and as well on the sides and on the front there, so that keeps that solidly secure. That will not come out or move anywhere. And then I've added some standoffs onto the bottom board for the motherboard. And then the next part of it would be to add the LEDs. I've wired some LEDs up with some RGB cable, soldered it, heat shrunk it. Then I've got it looped round into the speaker hole there. Then you come across the backboard and it loops round the other speaker hole. And then you would have an RGB cable, which I've got a connector on the end there to go down to the front. Yeah, this would feed in through your monitor and behind your monitor, and then it would plug into the other LED cable, which I've created another one there, which just has a nice quick release connector on there, so that will plug in there and it would be all glued into place along that front panel board there. So on this unit I've also added the feet to the bottom, so it raises it up a little bit, so then you'll get that RGB glow straight from underneath the machine. And if you wish to add an RGB fan, you can get the 4-pin connector fans, which have the same connector as those. And then I would have on the other end of this cable, that would be in that corner there, I would have the RGB fan come across the back of the machine, and then I would just plug it straight into that connector there, and that would sequence all the lights around the whole machine from the top to the bottom. It would have all the lights, LED lights, in sequence. So I'll come back with another video with the monitor and everything mounted, and then I'll show how this screen acrylic is mounted. I'm not sure if I'll be able to do a whole video today and compile it all, so the video may be in 2 parts. Right, we'll have the screen and everything mounted on this unit. Because it's a 32-inch, I've had to create some battens and add a batten to it to hold the monitor panel. On the 24-inch units, like I say, you'll be hitting center holes, and then the recommended monitor would mount perfectly on a perfect angle for the screen acrylic. And then we've got to add some angle brackets in behind the control board for then the screen acrylic to sit on. And then what we'll do is we'll add some strong M3 tape, double-sided M3 tape on the top edge there, and then stick the acrylic to that when the angle trim in that is on the screen. So I'm not going to be able to do that today. I'll upload this video and call this part 1, and then I'll come back in the next day or so with a part 2 of this video. So like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you later.